Are you looking for a job and you're reaching out through email, calling people on the telephone, calling old network connections that kind of get back to you, or maybe you're even DMing people on social media, LinkedIn, and you just can't seem to get that real enthusiastic response? It may be milquetoast or it may be nothing at all. If this is happening to you consistently, this is what we call a problem of engagement. If you stick with me today, I'm going to show you my 3-step process that I have used in sales my entire life that literally allowed me to sell over $750 million of new business in today's nominal dollars, from cold calling to collections. And guess what? It works really well when you're looking for a new job. So come on board if that's of interest to you. Welcome to the Dream Job America podcast. I'm your host, Tim Tonella, where we talk about all things hiring, particularly strategies, tools, and tactics for finding your next dream job. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask you to kind of hit that subscribe button, because this is a relatively new channel, and the more subscribers we get, the more time I can take to make great videos to help folks like you hopefully find your next great opportunity in half the time. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I've got a little surprise for you, something that's free that's going to really help lay the groundwork for you in coming up with an actionable plan for finding that next good role. Okay, today we're going to talk about something that is perhaps the most fundamental thing for anybody who's involved in any type of sales process, including looking for a new job. As we talked about in other videos, this is a sales process too, except you are both salesperson and you are the product. And that involves engagement. And if you think about it, engagement is that ability to get somebody to instantly say, wow, I'm blown away, I'm impressed, or I need to know more. I know more about you, I need to know more about you or product or service. And engagement is so difficult today because we are bombarded 24/7 with endless information coming into us. And it's very hard for us to vet who we should allow to vie for our attention. Now, I developed a 3-step process that was really rooted in experiences I had with my father, who was a serial entrepreneur. He used to take me as a young boy and as a teenager with him to sales calls all over the country. And I learned a lot about how to build relationships and get people to like you and become interested in you. And that led me to be able to sell in today's nominal dollars over $750 million. That's, yes, close to $750 million of revenue for a big corporation, literally from cold calling to collections. That same process works well in anything that you're doing, where you're a front man, you're doing biz dev, you're doing selling, but particularly in looking for a new job. So let's all start off quickly by talking about what the traditional salesperson is doing today and the approach that most people are taking. Now, I call this part of the process making the business use case. And that's really coming in and figuring out, what is the person's, their issues, their pain points, and then showing how you can solve that pain, help them get over a hurdle, and how you can do it better than anyone else. That is kind of the classic, here's a problem and I'm the solution. It's literally what so much of sales training is today. And it's what you see in the blitzkrieg of emails that are coming into you every day that are basically through automations. So you're getting a 4, 5, 6, 7 sequence coming in trying to pitch you for something. It's when someone smiles and dials on the telephone, tries to get you on the line, make a quick business pitch, et cetera, et cetera. All good salespeople need to understand what's driving emotionally their clients so they can come up with a pitch or a solution that's going to really help them and be highly targeted. And it's a good approach, and I use it myself all the time. However, I think it's something that if you put it on the back burner for a couple weeks and leave it as kind of a tactic of last resort, you have the ability to really stand out from the crowd, build a relationship with people, and then by the time you make the business use case, you're already kind of down that emotional path with the client. They feel a lot better to perhaps share the information that you really need, where you can show them how you can make a difference in their life. So my overall approach has been, it's best to always start building a personal relationship with someone before you ever talk about business. Now, I understand this isn't always possible, but let me tell you, when you're calling or reaching out to somebody on a cold basis, no one's going to buy from you unless, they're absolutely desperate. A pipe broke Saturday night in your house, your house is flooding, you get one plumber on the line, well, you're kind of stuck. That person's got to get your business no matter what. But most of life is not like that. They have time, they have resources, they have options. They can pick and choose who they want to speak with or not. And so it's up to you to be able to build that relationship so people want to talk to you, but most importantly, so that they will give you the right information so that you can hone that pitch and come up with a solution that's going to really work for them and get you the deal, or in this case, get you conversation started about a potential role that already exists that's maybe unpublished, or maybe potentially even creating a position for you from the get-go that doesn't even exist in the first place. And so the step number one that I always like to reach out. Now, this is irrespective of whether you're on the telephone, you're using email, you're using social media, you're talking to somebody in a line, you're getting even a network connection, is to start by focusing on an area where you share common values, principles, or beliefs. Now think about this. I work with executives. And so most of those executives are reporting into other C-level executives, or if they're on the C team already, they're reporting into the president, CEO, co-founder, or chairman of the company. And so most of the people they're reporting into probably have on the low side, 15 years of experience, but more likely 2 decades, 3 decades of experience, because that's how long it takes someone to kind of work up the line and build those channels. And I bring that up because someone that has been working for a long time, who's lived a life already, so they're 40, they're 50, they're 60 years old, most of what they believe in, the arc of those principles has already been established based on that life experience, which has been fairly extensive. And those principles and values are the things that really define those folks as individuals, and it's the thing that they hold closest to your heart. And so if you can find something of common interest where you share that same belief, you are going to connect with them in a way that goes directly to their emotional being, directly to their heart, directly what they believe, what they stand for, probably what they teach their employees, probably the culture they're driving, and probably what they're teaching their children. And so I always look for that common principle, and it can be a variety of things. So of course, a common value could be the belief in what it means to just be a good father, or a good mother, or a good uncle, or a good friend. This is a belief system, and being able to call in and connect with an individual on that basis, you're much likely to get somebody who want to respond to you, not about business, but respond back to echo that same principle or belief system. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of that intimately. So I had someone call me one time. They were trying to connect with this superstar player in the industry, and they couldn't get in. They tried every traditional route. They called, tried to work through their investment bankers. They tried to work through the commercial bankers. They tried to work through the CPA. But this person was just really, really busy, almost untouchable. And so we started working online. I did a little research. And here's what's so amazing today. You can find out almost anything about a majority of the people just through doing searches. You can find out, when people got divorced, you can see how many kids they have. You can see what schools they went to, where they served, where they go to church, what their mortgage payment is. It's insane, and it's at the tip of your fingertips. So there's so much information about people. Even people that don't even use, say, Facebook, they probably still have a Facebook profile, and they're tagged by their grandchildren and their children and their friends and things of that nature, even if they don't actively participate. And you've got that information. And so in this particular case, I looked up at the LinkedIn profile, and I was skimming down the work experience, the history, and I don't know if this person made the profile themselves or they had a team do it for them, but this person was really a superstar stud in the industry. Incredible business experience. But as we got through to the end of the LinkedIn profile, I had seen a little tagline at the bottom where the person had talked about other things that he did. And he had mentioned that he had been for 4 years the assistant soccer coach for his daughter's team. And now you got to ask yourself, wow, this incredibly, significant business person with all these incredible achievements, why did he feel compelled to put something that's so maybe ordinary on that? And that's because it had very important meaning to him and significance to him. And obviously, in that relationship that he had to his child, in this case, his daughter at some point in time, was really important. And so I had suggested to the candidate to reach out him directly through email and write an email that just said something along the lines of, hey, I'm in your space. I'm really an admirer of you personally, what you've done for the company. And I was checking through some information online, and I was kind of blown away that you put this information about coaching your daughter's team. That must have been very important to you, and you must have a very important relationship with your daughter. And when I read that, it really brought back all these great feelings that I had with my children, who are now older, and that part of our life is long gone. But it brought back all that warmth of when we were doing those things together, father and son, and I just felt I wanted to reach out and acknowledge that to you in case other people had it, and just say it was really a great thing. Now, the chance of that person reaching back and saying something nice back and engaging with you on a similar topic is 100 times greater than you just coming on in and making a pitch. Even if you have the greatest pitch in the world, well, you know what? You have no idea how many pitches that person's seen in the last 30 days. It could be just inundated over and over and over to the point where the person doesn't even want to make a decision, or maybe they don't even care at this point in time. They've got somebody else working on it. So what ended up happening is that person did reach back out, and they responded very kindly. It's very nice. I don't get a lot of emails like that. And yes, my daughter since graduated, went to college, did great, etc. And it was a really important memory for me. Now you have engagement at a personal level. Then what I had told this candidate to do was wait a week and then look online, because the Olympics, this was pre-pandemic when the Tokyo Olympics was canceled for the first time. I said, go ahead, talk with that person, do some research, and find an athlete online who tells a story of a relationship they had with their family, how important their parents were to them. Because if you study Olympians, and you know, very few just get anywhere by themselves. Usually there's a parent or two or a whole family behind them that had to sacrifice so much, move multiple times, drive hours a day, and to help them get to where they wanted to be. Send that note in a separate email just saying, hey, I don't know if you've heard of this person. It's a superstar athlete for the United States. When the Olympics comes up in the summer, you may want to pay attention to her. She may be a potential placer for the United States, but she has this really great story of how important her parents were in her life and her development. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the discussion that we had last week. And of course, the person sent that and got another really, really great response back. Rapport was being built. And then I suggested wait another week and then follow up with another email that said, hey, Bob, I'm just using that hypothetically. I have had such a great time getting to know you and talking about our kids and what's really important to us in life. And it just dawned on me, I am in your industry and I'm doing some things that maybe you've never heard about. I'd love to share it for 15 minutes, just kind of exchange notes. If you've heard about it before, no problem. And if you haven't, then at least you'll never get caught out of left field, off guard, in the event it ever comes up in a meeting. Have you got 15 minutes and we can just kind of chat about that? And of course the person said yes. Why not? Because they know the person. They feel like, hey, you believe in what I believe, and I feel like you're probably a person of integrity, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. And that was the first step in getting engagement, building that relationship, and then getting into the business side of things and being able to have that discussion where that person now felt confident enough to share information with that candidate, which allowed the candidate to really make a business use case that was completely in alignment and would be very, very effective. So anytime you can connect with another individual around shared principles, belief systems, and values, then go for it. Now, again, I'm going to temper that by saying if you don't share those things, don't try to connect on those things, because you always have to be authentic. You want to make a real connection and a real friendship. And if you believe something completely different, then we'll move on to step 2, which we're going to cover right now. Okay, so you're looking online and you can't quite find anything that's a shared belief, philosophy, that type of thing, anywhere with this individual. Then the next step is what I call looking to establish an affinity relationship. And that's just another word for saying looking for areas where we may have things in common of mutual interest. So these would be, hey, we play the same sports. Golf. We both like to go to vineyards and drink wine. We both went to Ivy League schools. We both served in the military. We're both of some particular similar ethnic descent. We've worked in other industries that were related, or we had similar experiences. We like the same kind of music. whatever it is, the next step is to reach out on that basis. And it's really, really easy. For example, I live out here in San Francisco. For those of you that know anything about San Francisco, people are very much into wine and wine country. We have Napa and Calistoga and all these great vineyards out here. And a lot of people really enjoy the wine culture, traveling out there, having different types of wines with their food, investing in wine. And so, for example, you could do your research. Look at Facebook, for example, and this happens all the time. I'll see someone who is on a vacation with their wife. They post something on Facebook and a really cool bottle of wine at a restaurant that they went to in a prestigious place, like a restaurant like Bottega, for example. And you could reach out on that basis and just call that person up or send them an email or an in-mail or a DM if you're on LinkedIn and say, hey, I saw this picture of you with a fine bottle of wine. We're in the same industry, but it really reminded me of an experience I had with my wife for our anniversary 2 weeks ago out in Napa at this particular vineyard. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. This bottle of wine is a similar cab, and based on what I saw in that photograph, it may be something you want to try one day. Again, you're doing some fishing, but you're reaching out. You're not asking them for anything. You're not saying, hey, talk to me. I want to pitch on something. Hey, talk to me. I'm looking for a job. You're just reaching out as someone of credibility who's sharing something else of credibility, right? An experience that they had that would be similar to the experience that you had, and it may be of mutual interest. Again, that person is extremely likely to respond if you have the right subject header as well, and then you're beginning to build rapport. Now, when you reach out through these channels, they have you if you're doing it through email, for example, you have a subject line field and you have a signature area below where you have your LinkedIn profile. They can hyperlink to that, or even in the email itself, you can put that hyperlink so people can they'll click on that hyperlink, they'll go to your LinkedIn profile, and hopefully, if you've watched my video on how to build a compelling LinkedIn profile, as soon as they click on that, they'll go, oh wow, this person is a real player. There's someone of extreme credibility. So they meet that benchmark as well, that standard, that checkbox, and perhaps this is someone I want to continue to engage with. And they can continue to follow up and have those same types of discussions. And as we said in the first example, once you feel rapport has been built on common interests and on a personal basis, then if you do make a business use case pitch, that person, number one, is more likely to want to hear it. You may not make a pitch as good as somebody else, but here's the difference. If I'm not really actively going to make a decision this minute, maybe I will if I had the right motivation to do it, but let's say I don't, and 30 people, all quality people, are pitching me, I'm just going to turn off all that communication altogether. But if I build a relationship with you and then we start talking about it, now I am more open to having a discussion with you because I feel good about you. I feel like I can trust you and I feel like we're friends. So that's always the route I go. So start with principles and values, move on to an affinity concept, things of mutual interest and common ground. And of course, if that doesn't work, then we're going to go with number 3, which is making the business use case. Making the business use case to get engagement is different than making a business use case to try to submit a proposal or to try to get them to talk specifics about a transaction. What you're trying to do is get that initial engagement, and if you do a really good job, they feel almost compelled to have that conversation with you. So when you make this case, it's not going to be, hey, you have this terrible problem and here's the specific solution for it. You've got to blow them away with something about you, your history, your personality, or what you've done collectively over your career where they feel like they really need to sit down at the table and have a discussion with you. And I will create a separate video that's going to go over specifically how you do that. But to give you a couple clues right now, you either want to talk about something that's directly involved in their business where you did something that was a magnificent achievement, where you can literally talk very quickly about where the company was, the dire situation or the tremendous opportunity, and how you overcame big hurdles and roadblocks and what you actually achieved. And you want to measure that out, and you want to discuss very specifically the scale of the impact that you made and how that changed the trajectory of the company. And if that is in alignment with what you believe they need, then the opportunity to get engagement is very big. Now, you don't have to necessarily do it about an individual experience. You could also do it about a series of collective experiences where maybe you roll up impact that you had made consistently across the last 4 or 5 jobs, roll that up into one situation, and you make that big impact. Just as when I started out this video, I didn't say, hey, I spent 10 years and I sold 2 million in one year and 4 million in another, and then I had 9 clients in the next, 2 in the next. No, I said, look, over a 10-year period, I delivered close to $750 million for a corporation before I was 30, and I did that primarily of my own initiative, cold calling and then collection. You can roll it up too, but whatever it is, and it's got to be big so that the person wants to reach out and do that for you. So again, to recap, the best way to build any relationship and get that initial engagement is find an area where you share something that's close to their heart, usually something that involves values, principles, shared belief systems. If that doesn't work, on move to things of common interest. Don't mention anything about business until you establish a relationship and a chat over a couple of weeks. And then once that happens, then you can slowly bridge into that idea of we're in the same industry. I'm a leader in this field. There's something going on. You may not be aware. It may help you make an impact in your company. Let me share that with you. And you can do that through a compelling business use case email or message that essentially is a single statement or two that's going to really draw their attention. And if you follow this process in everything that you do, in any way that you're looking to build a relationship with anybody in any situation, I think you're going to find that your success rate increases dramatically, and it increases dramatically very, very fast. So if you like the content of the video today, I'd ask you to please subscribe to my channel. Obviously, the more likes, the more folks that subscribe, the more views that I get. It'll allow me to keep making great content for you, your friends, your family, and those that you love, hopefully to help you find your next great opportunity in a fraction of the time that it would ordinarily take without some of the pain, anxiety, and angst that normally comes with the process. Now, I told you in the very beginning of this video that if you waited to the end, I would have a little treat for you. And so I'm offering you today my free 4-step job preparation guide that you can find at www.dreamjobamerica.com/guide. This is a comprehensive PDF that walks through the entire process I've outlined and is a foundation for where you need to be looking for your next great opportunity. The focus is on the unpublished and hidden job market where great opportunities lie, usually a higher pay that most people are not aware of because they're private and they're confidential. And there's less competition when you're going direct for those type of opportunities. So www.dreamjobamerica.com/guide, yours completely free, for joining me today. And if you like this video, please comment below if there's anything you want to see, anything I've done well, anything I have not done well. All the comments are great. If there's something you're struggling with, maybe a roadblock, an obstacle, or just an area that you would like to learn, pick my brain on, let me know in the comment field. I will get back to you and hopefully we'll make a video to address that. That's it for today. We look forward to seeing you in future